The genius painter Daniel Wilson was on the plane that crashed that day. My wife, Emily Davis, wearing a wedding dress, leapt from the 36th floor. She left a suicide note before she died. I couldn't share a plane with you, but I still wanted to embrace the earth from the heights. Though we took different paths to the same end, please don't reject my belated company. Among her belongings was a thick diary, filled with her love for Daniel Wilson. My life became a joke. I drowned my sorrows in drink every day, until one day, a speeding truck ran me over. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my senior year. Emily Davis blushed as she begged me. Daniel Wilson didn't mean to swap your painting on purpose. It's not a big deal. Could you give the piece to him? This time, I didn't soften. Classroom hallway. I stared blankly at Emily Davis, my mind in turmoil. It took me a long time to accept the fact that I had been reborn. That nightmarish scene still wouldn't leave my mind. Siren wails, the crowd of onlookers, the torn wedding dress, the flesh I could no longer lift. Bloodstains and white, forming the cruelest contrast in the world. That wedding dress was the one we bought when we married, but she never wore it. I wanted to keep a pure corner in my heart, untouched by anyone. I'll buy and keep this wedding dress. We can just rent another for the ceremony. I believed her words, thinking she just wanted to give youth a keepsake. So I went along with her. Thinking back now, she wasn't commemorating youth. She never escaped it. All her love remained in the green days of girlhood. It was given to her white moonlight, Daniel Wilson, and I was merely indulging in unrequited fancy. Emily Davis saw me spacing out, kept urging me relentlessly. Can't you just consider it me begging? Haven't you always wanted to go to the movies with me? As long as you admit that the painting was done by Daniel Wilson, I'll agree. Go to the movies? I looked at Emily Davis as if waking from a dream. Memories from my past life surged forth. Just yesterday, a titan in the world of painting and calligraphy, Mr. Taylor came to our school to visit a friend. He picked out my work at a glance from the art-specialized students' assignments. I want to take on a student and groom them as my last disciple. In my previous life, Daniel Wilson passed off my paintings as his own. He was taken in as the old man's disciple and rose to fame overnight. Within a few years, he held a solo exhibition in France and became the envy of everyone. And because I loved Emily Davis so deeply, I let Daniel Wilson steal my life. Watched a movie with Emily Davis and was deeply moved by my own infatuation. How childish. Maybe a young man's love was too fervent. Watching a movie with the one he loved could outweigh a bright future. But having been reborn, I can naturally tell what matters most. Thinking this, I gave a half smile. What makes you think that taking me to just one movie would make me give up a chance to change my fate? Do you see my life as being worth no more than the price of a movie ticket? Emily Davis paused, seeming not to have expected me to ask that. But that piece is really important to Daniel Wilson. Your academic grades are so good. Even if you give up this opportunity, it's fine. There's no need to stubbornly pursue art as the only path. As long as you give this chance to Daniel Wilson, you can ask for any condition, even asking me to be your girlfriend. Well, that might not be impossible. I looked at Emily Davis with a complex expression. For Daniel Wilson, she really would do anything. I gave a self-mocking laugh. Her love was too pure and intense. In my past life, even after many years, upon hearing the news of Daniel Wilson's death, she would without hesitation put on a wedding dress and die for him. Daniel Wilson filled her entire diary. Not a single word belonged to me. My years of wholehearted, selfless devotion meant nothing to her. A person like that is not worthy of my love. Thinking this, I spoke sentence by sentence. I refuse, because you are worthless in my eyes and cannot be used to barter for my life. Emily Davis couldn't believe it. I already agreed to be your girlfriend. What more do you want? You'd better think carefully. There won't be a chance to regret it later. I couldn't be bothered to pay her any more attention. Do you have anything else? I have to get back to class. Emily Davis shook her head and sighed. Ethan Johnson, you disappoint me so much. Do you know what you're doing? You're snuffing out a genius. I couldn't help but snort. Genius? A genius at stealing other people's work? What kind of look is that? You can call trash treasure. Maybe my words were too offensive. Emily Davis flushed angrily. Ethan Johnson, don't go too far. Go tell the teacher that the painting was done by Daniel Wilson and clear up the rumor, or I will never forgive you. She left after saying that. I ignored her threat. Near the end of school, I went straight to the art teacher. Emily Davis and Daniel Wilson altered the title of the work. The Spring Mountain painting that Mr. Taylor chose was actually painted by me. I showed the teacher the photos on my phone that documented the painting's creation process. He was convinced I wasn't lying. Don't worry, I will take care of this. Mr. Taylor greatly admires your talent. What's yours cannot be taken by anyone. The next morning's morning study session, Emily Davis stormed up to me. I told you, you ruined a genius, and I will not forgive you. Just as I wondered how she would exact her revenge, she took out an unopened iPhone, saying solemnly, I'm giving it back to you. I will never accept your gifts again. Then she stared straight at me. It was as if she were waiting for me to change my mind and break down in tears to apologize to her. I was taken aback for a moment. So this was her revenge all along? Makes sense. In my previous life, if she returned my gifts, it would have felt like the sky was falling. I would have knelt and begged her to forgive me, begged her not to do it. But now it's different. I've been reborn. How could I still be the gullible patsy? I was speechless for a moment, then happily took the phone. I put the SIM in to import the data, then tossed my own beat-up phone. The whole process flowed smoothly, not a trace of feeling defeated. I'm really happy. Thinking about my past self, scrimping and saving to buy her an iPhone while I used a second-hand Redmi with a cracked screen. I wish I could go back and give myself a good beating. A brand new top-of-the-line iPhone, given to someone who doesn't love you. Was I stupid or what? Isn't it good enough for me to use? I happily downloaded the software, on the verge of laughing out loud. Emily Davis froze for a moment, seeming unable to believe it. I simply unsealed the phone and started using it. She opened her mouth, then her eyes shifted as if she'd thought of something. She put on a haughty, superior air. Ethan Johnson, go on pretending all you like. Let's see how long you can keep it up. Before Mr. Taylor leaves, you still have a chance to back out. If you go and clear things up, say that the painting was painted by Daniel Wilson, I will still forgive you. Her voice paused for a moment. But I don't like other people opening a gift that's already been unwrapped, unless you go buy me a new one. Emily Davis left, her bearing like that of a proud swan. She had made up her mind, convinced that I was just putting on an act and would surely beg her for forgiveness. I looked at her back and let out a cold, mocking laugh. You want me to beg her? All I can say is she's deluding herself. In this life, what belongs to me cannot be taken by anyone. First period. The principal personally came to the classroom to call me. After taking me to the principal's office, he left. I understood. Mr. Taylor's inspection of teaching had arrived. I found myself involuntarily a little nervous because in my previous life Daniel Wilson said he had gone through a whole day of skill tests before passing Mr. Taylor's assessment. But to my surprise, Mr. Taylor didn't have me draw. He just chatted casually. I slowly relaxed. We went from discussing the sculptural styles of ancient Rome to the plant-based pigment techniques of the Renaissance. During that time, I also had the good fortune to admire Mr. Taylor's treasure pieces. Mr. Taylor was very pleased with me. Little Ethan, your artistic talent is exceptional. Would you be willing to take me as your mentor? I can become an apprentice so easily. This is perfect. I was just about to agree. A slightly hoarse, cool female voice sounded. Old man, I'll take this student. I looked up. A woman in her 20s emerged from the side door lounge. She wore a wine-red fitted blazer and high heels. Her hair fell in wavy curls, exuding a languid air. The instant I saw her face, I felt a wave of suffocation. Beautiful. Astonishingly beautiful. Her beauty wasn't the restrained kind. It was bold, passionate, and striking. Straight to the soul. Mr. Taylor's daughter, Sophia Taylor. She actually is here. In the last life, her artistic achievements far exceeded Mr. Taylor's. Praised as the pearl at the pinnacle of the world's art pyramid. A treasure of human art. Unfortunately, this woman has never married and has always been alone. Facing such a big shot, I was a little at a loss. After all, Daniel Wilson in his previous life never encountered this scene either. I didn't know how to respond, so I looked to Mr. Taylor with a pleading gaze. To my surprise, Mr. Taylor was even more shocked than I was. His lips trembled as he looked at Sophia Taylor in disbelief. You. Sophia Taylor lowered her eyes and said, It's him. I've chosen him to be my student. Mr. Taylor's expression was complicated, partly surprised, partly disappointed. When he turned to look at me, his nose wasn't a nose and his eyes weren't eyes. In short, he found everything displeasing. In the end, he slammed the back of my head viciously. "You brat, I'll settle the score with you properly later." Then he left despite my bewilderment, leaving me alone to face Sophia Taylor's evaluation. Actually, the assessment was simple. Model for me once, and I'll take you as my student. I breathed a sigh of relief. Being a model was actually not difficult at all. However, Sophia Taylor's next sentence left me standing there frozen. "I need to sculpt the lines of your muscles, so take it off." Me? What else could I do? Looking at Sophia Taylor's cold, aloof expression, I clenched my fists. For the sake of my future, I would give it everything. Looking at Sophia Taylor's exquisitely beautiful face, I was extremely nervous. My palms were sweating. My voice trembled uncontrollably. "Can you please turn around first?" I thought to myself, I must do well as this model. Seize the chance to change my fate. Leaving the principal's office, I walked on the playground, still savoring the experience of having been the model. This work wasn't finished because my heart wasn't calm enough. "It's not your fault. Wait until I'm settled, and we'll carve it again." Sophia Taylor's composed words still lingered in my mind. Does that mean I'll have to undress again? Whenever I thought of that, my heart couldn't remain calm. This is truly a favored daughter of heaven, the pearl at the very apex of the art pyramid. All worldly so-called goddesses pale utterly in comparison to her. I'm just an ordinary art student, while she stands high up in the clouds. Our statuses are worlds apart. I shook my head and laughed at how ridiculous my fanciful thoughts were. But thinking of my identity as a reborn person, a surge of confidence rose in my chest. So what if she's a goddess? As long as I seize the opportunity, it's not impossible to win her over. I was suddenly stopped while I was distracted. I looked up. Emily Davis was staring at me with a hostile expression. Behind her, Daniel Wilson had a sullen face and looked equally displeased. "What did you do this morning? Did you take my words to heart? Go clear it up with the teacher right away. Tell them that painting was done by Brother Daniel Wilson, otherwise I really won't bother with you anymore." Looking at Emily Davis's unreasonable attitude, I sighed inwardly. How blind was I in my last life to treat a woman like that as a treasure? "Excuse me, move aside. You're blocking my way." Seeing these two, I felt irritated, and my tone involuntarily turned cold. Emily Davis propped her chin and appraised me, seeing my attitude grow cold. She glanced at Daniel Wilson with a look of understanding, then looked down at me with a superior expression. "Ethan Johnson, have I been too nice to you and given you the wrong idea? How dare you get jealous over Brother Daniel Wilson? Who gave you the right?" Daniel Wilson behind her scoffed as well, looking at me with contempt. I couldn't help but give a bitter laugh. After years of boundless giving, in the end, I don't even have the right to be jealous? Maybe this is the real thought in Emily Davis's heart. Her heart is not something I can warm. In her previous life, she leapt from the 36th floor, long proving that fact. A hollow feeling welled up in my chest, as if something had shattered. I couldn't help but let out a long breath, and once more mourn the person I used to be. It's all over now. None of it happened, I told myself in my mind. I glared at the two of them. Turning my head, I walked around them, intending to go in a different direction. But I wanted to hide, and they wouldn't let me. Emily Davis blocked me again, her tone imperious. "Speak up. What did you do this morning? What did I do this morning?" My face warmed, and the image of Sophia Taylor automatically surfaced in my mind. A single cold finger traced my abs, but warm breath left her mouth. "Relax, the waist muscle should be a bit softer in line." I gave a startled shiver and snapped back to my senses. I didn't do anything. I went to take the Master Apprentice assessment. "You took on a master?" Emily Davis widened her eyes. Daniel Wilson looked utterly bereft, his face showing the loss of a billion. He glared at me through gritted teeth. "You already took Mr. Taylor's assessment so quickly? You really seized that opportunity." I shook my head. "No, it's Mr. Taylor's daughter. Sophia Taylor is going to be my teacher." Emily Davis looked puzzled. She wasn't an art student and hadn't heard of her. Daniel Wilson was taken aback at first, then burst into loud laughter. "Even when you brag, pick someone believable. You actually dare to say Ice God is your teacher? Ha ha ha. Do you even know who Ice God is? He's the rising star that many international masters are backing. Besides, who doesn't know Ice God hates men? How could she possibly be your teacher? Take a good look at yourself in the mirror." Daniel Wilson's mockery at me was understood by Emily Davis. Ethan Johnson, with your endless lies, you only make me dislike you more. Don't be smug about stealing his chance to apprentice. Daniel Wilson is a genius. True geniuses are never truly buried. I was taken aback for a moment. This time, it was clearly my chance. How did Daniel Wilson end up getting it? I looked up. The two of them were glaring at me as if I had truly taken something from Daniel Wilson. Ridiculous. I sneered and exposed their sordidness. That painting was clearly painted by me. You stole my title. When I changed it back, I was accused of stealing your work. Do you have any shame? Daniel Wilson, aren't you a genius? Then paint one yourself. While Mr. Taylor is still here, take your own work to him instead of scheming to steal mine. Emily Davis looked embarrassed. Ethan Johnson, how could you become so unreasonable? Don't you realize what kind of genius you destroyed? They say I ruined a genius. So who exactly is being unreasonable? I let out a self-mocking laugh. No matter how filthy Daniel Wilson's behavior, no matter how despicable his character, Emily Davis always regarded him as a genius, while I was the sinner who ruined that genius. But the painting Mr. Taylor admired was clearly painted by me. Yet, I was clearly the one who was hurt. However, she couldn't see any of this at all. I turned my head and refused to look at Emily Davis. She said coldly to Daniel Wilson, if you have the ability, go fight for a future yourself. There's no point in coming to me. To prove your strength, you must always let your own work speak. Daniel Wilson went pale at her words, while Emily Davis's eyes lit up. She triumphantly looped her arm through his. Brother Daniel Wilson, I believe in you. You're so talented. Even without his lousy paintings, you could surely pass Mr. Taylor's assessment on your own merits. As she spoke, she looked at Daniel Wilson's profile with utter admiration. The light in her eyes was something I had never seen before. I tugged at the corner of my mouth but couldn't actually laugh. The deeper her love for Daniel Wilson ran, the more it proved how truly foolish I had once been. And that was hardly cause for celebration. I couldn't be bothered to argue with them, so I slipped past the two of them again, wanting to put distance between us. Maybe when you're unlucky, even cold water will catch in your teeth. I accidentally stepped on a rock. With a thud, I fell to the ground. A sharp pain shot through my knees and palms. I raised my hand to look. There were several grazes, blood quickly seeping out. I hadn't yet had time to check the condition of my knees. Laughter from Emily Davis and Daniel Wilson came from beside me. At that moment, a little mongrel ran out from the woods. Woof, woof, woof. It ran circles around me. Last week, I fed it half a sausage, and it clearly still remembered me. I couldn't help but laugh, because this time I confirmed one fact. People are not as good as dogs. This is absolutely ridiculous. In the corner of my eye, Emily Davis and Daniel Wilson found a bench and sat down. The two of them snuggled together sweetly, glancing my way from time to time and letting out soft laughs. I didn't want them to make a spectacle of me, so I gritted my teeth against the pain and tried to stand up. Just as I was about to push myself, a pair of soft, boneless hands pressed down on my shoulders. A hoarse, cool female voice spoke. Don't move. I'll help tend your wounds. I looked up and my eyes were brushed by fragrant long hair, those familiar wavy curls. Sophia Taylor, don't be afraid. I've had training in wound care. It might hurt a little at first. Just bear with it. She quickly opened the medical kit and took out hydrogen peroxide, tweezers, and cotton balls. If it feels too painful, you can hold on to me. I curl my lips. It's fine. I'm not someone who can't stand even a little pain. Yet I had overrated myself. When the tweezers gripped the cotton ball soaked in hydrogen peroxide and pressed it against my wound, I couldn't bear the pain and clutched Sophia Taylor tightly. After all, she said I could hug her. Sophia Taylor stiffened for a moment, then nonchalantly continued treating the wound. After the pain subsided, my mind went blank. Holding Sophia Taylor in my arms, a thought flashed through my mind. Her figure is actually so curvy. Breathing in the scent of her hair steadied me, and even the pain from disinfecting my wounds became barely noticeable. On the nearby steps, Emily Davis and Daniel Wilson had also stopped being clingy. They walked in my direction. Emily Davis angrily confronted me. Ethan Johnson, who is this woman? Where did you meet her? How come I didn't know? Ich glänzte hier indifferently. What does it matter to you what kind of people I know? Emily Davis sneered arrogantly, pointing at me. I'm going to tell Annie that you're dating early at school." She kept getting more and more absurd as she spoke. Daniel Wilson angrily shoved her. "Shut up. That's Professor Zhou from the Huaxia Academy of Fine Arts. How can you slander her?" Then, flattering, he smiled at Sophia Taylor. "Hello, Goddess of Ice. My name is Daniel Wilson. I'm her diehard fan." However, Sophia Taylor was focused on bandaging my wounds and had no time to pay him any mind. Emily Davis was completely submissive to Daniel Wilson. Even when pushed, she showed no resentment. She learned of Sophia Taylor's identity, and her expression quickly returned to normal. She looked at me coldly. "It seems I was overthinking. What kind of person is Professor Zhou? How could he possibly take notice of you?" Yes, she was right. Sophia Taylor was a white swan, and I was just a pitiful, ugly duckling. Our statuses were worlds apart. But so what? I have a golden finger. I have the right to say it to everyone. Don't look down on a poor young man. Sophia Taylor quickly bandaged my wound and helped me to my feet. "I got you time off. Look at your clothes. They're torn. I'll take you shopping this afternoon. For now, let's go eat." With that, she led me toward the school gate. She completely ignored Emily Davis and Daniel Wilson. A Bentley was parked at the school gate, the very car Sophia Taylor drove. It was my first time riding in a luxury car of this class, and I felt a little nervous in the passenger seat. The fragrant scent inside the car made my heart pound like a drum. I turned my head away and pressed the window, looking out, not daring to look at Sophia Taylor. Daniel Wilson was staring at me through the fence, his face showing an unmistakable unwillingness. I understood the jealousy in his heart. I bared my teeth at him and flipped him off. Uffed. Sophia Taylor accidentally laughed out loud. How embarrassing. This time it was my turn to feel awkward. Ding. A WeChat message was received. I opened it, and it was from Emily Davis. "Emily, dear, that Professor Zhou doesn't look like a good person. I've taken a photo and sent it to Annie. Stay away from her." How ridiculous. I was accidentally injured, and she stayed with Daniel Wilson to watch me make a fool of myself. Sophia Taylor helped me treat the wound, but she was labeled as not a good person by her. I said nothing and changed the note to the name Emily Davis. Then I replied to her. "On what basis do you say she's not a good person? You're far worse than her. You're not even as good as that stray dog on campus. The stray dog remembers the kindness I gave it and worries about me. How did you treat me?" To prevent her from bombarding me with messages, I turned on Do Not Disturb. Sophia Taylor spoke little and remained silent the whole time while driving. Throughout the entire meal, she only exchanged a few words with me when ordering. The rest of the time, she was completely silent. Just like her name, she was an ice-cold beauty. After eating, Sophia Taylor took me to the mall. Unexpectedly, at a sports specialty store, I ran into Emily Davis and Daniel Wilson. Daniel Wilson was very surprised. "You weren't with Bing Shun?" "Well, of course, you two are just teacher and student. How could she bring you to buy clothes?" Emily Davis was trying on clothes. She looked at me angrily. "Ethan Johnson, what exactly did you mean by the message you sent me? We grew up playing together, and you actually insult me, comparing me to a dog." I sneered and cut her off. "What you heard is wrong. I meant that you aren't even as good as that dog." "She's not even as good as a dog." Emily Davis was furious. "You're the dog, a pathetic simp. Do you have any idea how disgusting it is when you fawn over me like that? See? Professor Zhou dumped you, didn't he? Do you know why? Because a simp like you is simply unworthy of being loved." I looked at Emily Davis with a cold gaze. All kinds of vicious words poured out of her mouth, like a dense barrage of sharp swords, mercilessly attacking me. But my heart had long since seen her for who she truly was. No longer hurt by her, I just looked at her coldly. Emily Davis, seeing that I remained silent, grew increasingly arrogant. She took a room card out of her pocket. "Do you know why no one loves you? Model student, excellent character, never makes mistakes. None of that has ever struck me as a virtue." She threw her arm around Daniel Wilson. Her face flushed as she leaned into his embrace. "You should make mistakes when you're young. Growing up is all about trial and error. If you don't indulge recklessly sometimes, what's the point of youth? You have to keep this secret from me. Don't tell my parents, okay?" Watching her shy yet bold actions, I was not surprised. Is she planning to book a room? In my previous life, she also blushed as she held the room key, asking me to help her hide it from her parents. Driven by jealousy in my heart, I refused her without hesitation and even tattled to her parents. The next day, Daniel Wilson was pressured by his family. He was forced to break up with her. I thought I had protected our love, but I didn't know that in her heart, I was the one who destroyed it. If not for my betrayal, she wouldn't have separated from Daniel Wilson. Later, when Daniel Wilson went abroad and she married me, it was only out of a desire for revenge. I didn't make a sound. Emily Davis laughed even more freely. Daniel Wilson turned his head further, embracing her and kissing her as if no one else existed. They completely treated me like air. Just then, a faint fragrance drifted over. Sophia Taylor walked over carrying a bag. "How did you end up here? Come try these on. Do these 2 outfits fit?" I felt as if I had been granted a great pardon. Maybe it was just my imagination, but after I put my clothes back on, everything around me seemed to have grown quiet. I looked up and saw Emily Davis and Daniel Wilson had stopped kissing. The clerk had also stopped whispering, his face a little flushed. They were all staring at me without blinking. I looked at Sophia Taylor in a daze. "What's wrong? Is it hard to look at?" Sophia Taylor quickly hooked her arm through mine. As expected of my best student, my most outstanding nude model, I was startled. How could she say such things? That day when I modeled, I only took off my top. Sophia Taylor suddenly pinched me. Then I saw Daniel Wilson's face turn sour, as if he'd swallowed a fly. Emily Davis also looked a bit uneasy, stealing glances at me from time to time. I suddenly understood. Sophia Taylor had seen my predicament and kindly helped me save face. Emily Davis's noisy voice came through. "Ethan Johnson, I'm going to tell Annie on you. You're posing nude as a model, doing the kind of indecent work. You just wait until you get home and get scolded." I gave a cold laugh. "What I do is none of your business. You should mind your own affairs. I wonder how your parents would react if they knew you were going to a hotel." Having said that, I took Sophia Taylor's hand. I turned and walked away. Emily Davis's shouting came from behind. Sophia Taylor drove me home. For some reason, she was unusually quiet the whole way, lost in thought about who knew what. When we got home, my parents were already waiting inside. As expected, Emily Davis had already complained. My dad looked at me in my new clothes, took a drag of his cigarette, and pulled out a few bills. "Here, take it. It's not easy to sue the partner. Don't let them look down on you. From now on, this is how you'll dress." My nose went sharp. So these are my biological parents. Even reborn into another life, it's the same. They simply don't approve of Emily Davis. But because of my stubbornness, she set aside her prejudices and supported me. Thinking of the previous life, I paid a hefty bride price to marry Emily Davis. All that glory was backed by my parents' hard work and sacrifices. Worked several jobs. When they were only in their 50s, life had already bent their backs so much they never straightened again. Fortunately, I was reborn. Now my parents are still young. There was still time. I didn't take those few banknotes. I said in as calm a tone as possible, "Dad, Mom, I don't like Emily Davis anymore. I will never pursue her again, and I certainly won't buy gifts to beg for her forgiveness." My parents were stunned when they heard me. I had no choice but to say it again. This time it's for real. My parents simply didn't believe me. There was nothing I could do. After all, everyone knew about my bootlicker image. I sighed, carefully dissected my own emotional journey. I was about to literally lay my heart open for them to see. Finally, they temporarily believed me. I chose to keep quiet about Emily Davis mentioning a boyfriend. She chose her own path. I no longer interfere. Whether the road ahead is mud or cliff, it's her own doing. When my parents asked about Sophia Taylor again, I did not hide anything. Having such a big shot as a teacher is a matter of bringing honor to the family. My parents were very happy. The next morning, downstairs in the residential complex, I looked at that familiar Bentley. How could Sophia Taylor possibly be here? I couldn't help but widen my eyes. The owner of the Bentley had already rolled down the window. "Aren't you getting in? You'll be late for school." The neighbors chatted, chuckling. "That Johnson kid. How did he end up with a rich woman? Isn't he supposed to like that girl? Emily? Don't even mention it. I don't think the Davis girl mattered to him at all. The two of them aren't a match. That girl with the fancy car is much better looking. The Johnsons are lucky." Sophia Taylor closed the car window, shutting the voices out. She handed me a bag of breakfast. I bought breakfast and didn't finish it. "Help me eat it, don't waste it." I took the paper bag and found it was completely unopened. She had bought it especially for me. A warmth welled up inside me. Emily Davis never once brought me breakfast in a previous life. Suddenly her cold, icy face didn't seem so unapproachable anymore. On the way, I ate breakfast and stared at Sophia Taylor's profile, somewhat dazed. I don't know why, but I kept feeling that her face looked vaguely familiar. Maybe I had seen her photo online before. Suddenly, a cool, distant voice came. Does it look good? Beautiful. My brain hadn't reacted yet, but my mouth had already replied first. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. It's okay, you can look. I was stunned. Sophia Taylor drove with a serious expression, as if she hadn't been the one speaking moments ago. I looked Sophia Taylor over with keen interest. She had already changed the subject. If you study with me, what will your parents think? I don't know why, but I could hear it in her voice. There seemed to be a hint of nervousness. I told her honestly, my mom is very happy that I can learn from you and told me to listen to you. As for my dad, I looked at her face, suddenly tightened at the side. In a joking tone, I told the truth. My dad is pretty unreliable. He said if you could ever take a liking to me, he'd have my grandmother slaughter a pig to offer to the ancestors. After saying that, I felt even more at ease. Sophia Taylor laughed as well. Her laugh was like an iceberg thawing, so enchanting. It turned out she also had a girlish, innocent side. She was like a bright morning sun. No, your dad is a very dependable person. Extremely dependable. Me? I don't know why, but I felt the car suddenly go a bit fast. The classmates in the class were all very gossip-hungry. They one after another talked to me about Emily Davis. Did you hear? Yesterday, Emily Davis went to a hotel with Daniel Wilson. Apparently, they didn't come back all night, and both sets of parents came to the school. You tell me, are you stupid or not? 3 years of true feelings fed to the dogs. As a brother, I'm advising you. Stay away from this kind of woman as soon as possible. Otherwise, even if you marry her later, you'll still be the one to suffer. I chuckled. I know. For now, you don't need to tell me about Emily Davis. I no longer like her. Classmates and parents alike. They scoffed at my words. They simply didn't believe I could forget Emily Davis. After all, I had pined for her for 3 years. Everyone had seen how humble and single-minded I was. I took out my textbook and focused on studying. The matter of Emily Davis simply couldn't stir any ripples in my heart. Whether they believed it or not didn't matter. Time would prove everything. After class, the homeroom teacher called me into the office. When Emily Davis saw me, she lifted her chin, her eyes full of contempt and disdain. It was as if I had tattled, causing her to be called in with her parents. But I didn't tattle at all. Her mother was also in the office. Mrs. Davis saw me and was furious. I entrusted Emily to you, and this is how you take care of her. I was stunned from the way she put it. It seems that Emily Davis and another man checking into a hotel is all my fault. But what did I do wrong? In my previous life, I loved her desperately, yet she hurt me terribly. Besides, I already gave 3 years for her. I don't owe her. Mrs. Davis, you must be mistaken. Emily Davis never treated me as her boyfriend. It's your responsibility as her parents to discipline her, not something a neighbor like me should be worrying about. Mrs. Davis, how do you know she and Daniel Wilson rented a room together? Please explain it to her clearly. I didn't snitch. I can't be falsely accused for no reason, can I? Mrs. Davis's face went briefly awkward. She stammered and couldn't get the words out, only blaming me. Emily went to a hotel room with another man. Don't you bear any responsibility at all? You grew up with her from childhood. Now you're shirking responsibility. Don't you feel any guilt? I was stunned. Mrs. Davis, you didn't take care of her, which led to her having a premature relationship and renting a room with someone. What does that have to do with me? I'm not her bodyguard or her nanny. I simply don't have the right to control her, okay? Mrs. Davis's complaint was completely unreasonable. The homeroom teacher had to interject. Ethan Johnson has already been accepted by Professor Zhou as a student, and his major courses will take up a lot of time. Parents, please explain this quickly so he can go back and do his homework. The homeroom teacher echoed. Mrs. Davis had no choice but to say hesitantly. It wasn't Ethan who tattled. This morning when I was getting my child's clothes ready, I found contraceptive supplies in the pocket and marks on her neck. So I quietly came to school to ask around, and only then found out. Emily Davis was taken aback. She hadn't expected that. The one who ratted was not me at all. I'm glad the misunderstanding is cleared up. Mrs. Davis treated me very well when I was little. Once my parents went on a business trip and left me at her house for a few days. It was my first time away from my parents, and I fell ill. Mrs. Davis took care of me the whole time, like my mother. Looking at the woman whose hair was now streaked white on both sides, I felt a bit of pity. I can hate Emily Davis, but I couldn't bring myself to be cruel to Mrs. Davis. I ignored Emily Davis, greeted the homeroom teacher, Mrs. Davis, and returned to my class. But I didn't expect it. While we were having dinner, Mrs. Davis came to the door, leading Emily Davis by the hand. Ignoring Emily Davis's objections, she tugged at her hand and tried to place it into mine. "Ethan, I've watched you grow up since you were little. Emily is so headstrong. Only by entrusting her to you will I feel at ease." I was stunned. The Mrs. Davis in front of me was chattering just like before, yet something about her was different. Seeing she was about to grab me, I quickly withdrew my hand. I said to her somewhat embarrassedly, "Mrs. Davis, Emily Davis already has a boyfriend. The two of them were in a hotel together just yesterday. The marks on her neck haven't even faded yet, and you want to push her onto me? Isn't that a bit inappropriate?" Mrs. Davis shook her head. "How is that not appropriate? She's still young. Youth will always make mistakes. It's part of growing up, nothing to fret about." "Youth will always make mistakes?" I was startled. The way the mother and daughter put it is exactly the same. It's hard to say that Emily Davis's suicide in her past life wasn't influenced by Mrs. Davis. Education is really important. Instilling twisted values can affect a child's entire life. When my dad heard Mrs. Davis's words, his face had already gone ashen with anger. I said calmly, "Mrs. Davis, you are absolutely right. Youth is for making mistakes. Growing up is a process of constantly trying and erring." The mother and daughter were delighted the moment they heard me agree with them. I curved my lips and continued, "But I'm still young too. I need to keep making mistakes to grow." Mrs. Davis already sensed something was wrong. Her expression changed. "Ethan, could you explain more clearly? Auntie doesn't quite understand." I leaned back on the sofa and spread my hands. "I'm still young, so I plan to date other people first. Even if I make mistakes, it's fine. Like you said, Auntie, my growth can also come from trial and error. We can't just let Emily Davis grow on her own while denying me the right to grow. By the time she's 80 and I'm 18, we won't be a match anyway." Snort. My mom couldn't help it and covered her mouth, laughing. My dad kept a stern face. He didn't say anything, but his expression had already improved a lot. Mrs. Davis's face darkened. "Just study properly, graduate, then earn money and work. Growing up doesn't have to come at the price of making mistakes." What kind of double standard is that? Her daughter making mistakes is no big deal. It's the price of growing up. And I have to grow up by the book, guard my purity like a jewel, be her lapdog and blood bag, become her backup? I was stunned. My parents also looked at Mrs. Davis in disbelief. They couldn't have imagined that a friend they'd known for years harbored such thoughts. Mrs. Davis glanced around and finally realized that the heartfelt words she had blurted out were a bit too much. She stammered, wanting to make amends, but didn't know how to explain. Of course, some words, once spoken, no amount of explanation can undo. "Mrs. Davis, the only reason I still call you IE is out of respect for you. Please leave my home." For a moment, the atmosphere fell into awkwardness. Pulled along by Emily Davis, the mother and daughter exchanged a brief greeting and hurried home. Finally gone, the three of us breathed a sigh of relief. What kind of freaks are that mother and daughter? If it weren't for her daughter getting into trouble, we'd never have known her mother was like this. Both of them have warped values. Only old Shun is barely decent. My father glared at me viciously. "If you dare to be with that Davis girl, I'll beat you to death." My mother, unusually, didn't contradict my father. The elderly couple stood together. There was only one core opinion: stay away from Emily Davis. I hurriedly swore and promised to stay as far away from Emily Davis as possible, only then avoiding a beating. I kept my word. Thereafter, no matter how Emily Davis paraded in front of me, I pretended not to see any of it. Senior year of high school settled into a routine, and my study load became heavy. Every morning, Sophia Taylor would drive down to pick me up. The neighbors in the complex were all gossiping, saying I was being kept by a rich older woman. There were those who envied and those who were jealous. Every weekend, Sophia Taylor would take me to a hotel. She would have me model for her and, incidentally, teach me some composition techniques. "Your talent is high, and your technical skills have developed quickly. Next, you need to study the master's works extensively and learn about their lives. When appreciating their works, put yourself into the trajectory of their growth. That's something that can't be taught. It's worth mentioning that her sculpture was never finished. And as I had warned, I had no choice but to keep modeling for her. I don't know if it was my imagination. I noticed that when Sophia Taylor looked at me occasionally, it felt like there was a trace of memory, leaving me baffled. I have no recollection whatsoever of ever having interacted with her. Could it be that I resemble someone else, causing her to feel something unusual? At the thought, my heart tightened as if being squeezed, making it hard to breathe. I know, I like Sophia Taylor. Who could not like a goddess? She is a favored daughter of heaven, so radiant. But I also have the enormous advantage of being reborn. Even if she's a goddess in the sky, I'm going to pull her off her pedestal. At this moment, I vow, even if I am only a substitute, I also have to achieve a successful comeback, defeat everything, and marry the goddess. No matter how conflicted I feel inside. Days passed day by day. There were fierce arguments erupting in Emily Davis's home every day. Mrs. Davis saw that Daniel Wilson was not a man to rely on. Absolutely would not accept him being involved with Emily Davis. Whenever Emily Davis came home, she would get scolded. Gradually, Emily Davis came home less and less. She didn't even come home on New Year's Eve. Mrs. Davis spent her days weeping. The already meek Mr. Davis became even more taciturn. Things grew worse and worse. On the 6th day of the first lunar month, Emily Davis returned. She had lost a lot of weight. Her belly was slightly rounded, and at a glance it was obvious she had been pregnant for several months. Mrs. Davis was horrified. She hurriedly dragged her back home. But it was already too late. The whole neighborhood has already spread the word. The Davis family's maid has been made pregnant. Mrs. Davis brought Emily Davis to see me. Ethan, you know Emily. She's simple by nature. Her pregnancy is entirely because she was deceived. You two grew up together as childhood sweethearts. You can't really cut her off forever, can you? You'll forgive her, won't you? I glanced at Emily Davis's belly. Mrs. Davis, just say what you mean. Mrs. Davis said, a little embarrassed. How about you and Emily make a couple, and when the child she's carrying is born, I can help raise it for you. As for the bride price, a token $50,000 will do. The child is going to be born? A bride price of $500,000 US? Even though I was mentally prepared, I was still startled. Mrs. Davis, I've never even had a girlfriend. If your daughter's bringing a child, don't drag me into it. If you think taking care of a kid is hard and just want to hear a thank you, go ask Daniel Wilson. Because when you take care of the child, you're really helping Daniel Wilson raise him. I don't have a child at all. If you're extorting someone, at least use some sense, right? Mrs. Davis was displeased. You're a future college student. How can your thinking be so rotten? If you raise Daniel Wilson's child, he'll call you dad. The debt of giving birth is nothing compared to the debt of raising. Is blood relation really that important? I was stunned for a moment. I refused to raise someone else's child, and I'm accused of having rotten morals. What kind of warped logic is this? Your daughter got pregnant and was abandoned by a scumbag, and instead of persuading her to get an abortion, you're frantically trying to find her a stand-in husband. How does that make any sense? Of course, it could also be that Emily Davis refused to have an abortion. Given her love-struck, late-stage state, making such a choice would also be understandable. Maybe she's right now indulging in self-pity and emotional theatrics. I looked up. As expected, Emily Davis was rubbing her belly with a look of pure happiness. What shone on her face was the radiance of motherhood. Hopeless. I gave Mrs. Davis a cold look. I'm perfectly capable of having children myself, so why should I raise someone else's child? The moment I spoke, Mrs. Davis seemed to have anticipated it. She began persuading Emily Davis. Get rid of the baby, even if Daniel Wilson doesn't want you. Once you have the abortion, Ethan will accept you. Who said I have to accept your daughter? Can you not have any shame? Just as I was about to lose my temper, Emily Davis snapped first. Isn't the reason Daniel Wilson rejected me because of you, his grandmother, who won't willingly chip in to support his living expenses? It's already hard for him to carry out his artistic work. Can't you help share the mundane, everyday burdens? Mrs. Davis frowned tightly as Emily Davis continued to lose her mind. You people have no idea how much of a genius he is. There's no way we could break up. He treats me so well. With a hand that should be holding a paintbrush, he personally cooked instant noodles for me. He even got burned. Boo-hoo-hoo. Mrs. Davis could no longer bear it. A man who truly loves you would never bring himself to hit you. I could only hear the irony. Daniel Wilson actually laid hands on Emily Davis, the man she was willing to give up her life for, the one she would brave the heights to be with. Actually hit her, but Emily Davis didn't see it that way. She desperately tried to explain to Daniel Wilson. He hit me because his passion for creating art was pent up with nowhere to go. He couldn't control himself, and that's why he struck me. This is proof that he loves me. Otherwise, why would he hit me and not someone else? When she said that, I was stunned. Mrs. Davis was also left wide-eyed and speechless. She trembled, clapped her hands over her chest, and slowly collapsed to the ground. A heart attack. If I had known you'd turn out like this when you were born, I should have strangled you. After saying that, she lay down on the ground. Her face was as thin as gold paper. It looked extremely dire. But Emily Davis didn't care at all. She just shook her head in disappointment. You don't understand Daniel Wilson at all. What right do you have to look down on him? You disappoint me so much. You're unfit to be his son's grandmother. I'm ashamed of you. Emily Davis said that, then turned and left. She abandoned her mother having a heart attack. I couldn't stand by and do nothing, so I called an ambulance, then left. As for any first aid, I didn't want to do it. Her own biological daughter won't do it. How could I overstep? Besides, with the way Emily Davis has turned out, does her mother really have absolutely no responsibility? I didn't pay attention to what happened afterward. I only heard neighbors chatting that Mrs. Davis spent a lot on hospital bills and emptied out most of the family savings. But none of that had anything to do with me. My academic grades were good, more than enough to get into a 985 university. Getting into an art school, even one of Huaxia's top academies of fine arts, would be a breeze. In the second semester of my senior year, I almost gave up on my academic studies. Put all my energy into exploring art. Talent is only part of what determines a person's artistic achievement. The other part is having patrons or benefactors to support you. With the help of Sophia Taylor, even though I hadn't graduated from high school yet, I had already gained a certain reputation in the circle. Occasionally, jewelry design companies would approach me to design pieces, and I never disappointed. I always produced work that satisfied the clients. The family's circumstances kept improving. The money I earned I invested in the stock market, and my wealth grew like a snowball. It wasn't long before I was driving a luxury car. Everyone in the neighborhood was showering my parents with favors. But my parents were tight-lipped, not revealing a single piece of information. The smiles on my parents' faces grew ever more frequent. The two elders quit their hard work and spent their time traveling and loafing around. Occasionally, at my urging, they would go to the hospital for a checkup. They were always urging me on. Put more effort into it. Try to win Professor Zhou over. So next year when we go back home to pay respects to our ancestors, make sure you get her back. I gave a helpless smile. Some things can't be forced. It's true that I love Sophia Taylor, but I can't be sure whether she loves me. Nor do I know what I mean to her. True love or a stand-in? Why did she treat me differently the first time we met? No answer. I agonized over whether her feelings were genuine, yet I relished the time spent with her. But one thing I'm certain of, I will never give up. That day, I was doing clay sculpting with Sophia Taylor, because we had to complete a piece together. The atmosphere was intimate, and I was enjoying it. Suddenly, Emily Davis called. What a mood killer. My expression changed. Just as I was about to hang up, Sophia Taylor smiled calmly. Take it. Maybe it's something important? Reluctantly, I pulled my hand away and answered the phone. You'd better have something important to say. On the other end, Emily Davis's voice faltered. Ethan Johnson, I have something important to discuss. Let's meet and talk. I had nothing to discuss with Emily Davis and was about to refuse. Sophia Taylor leaned close to my ear. Meet with her once, but I want to be present. Yes, in the capacity of a teacher. A teacher? Those two words seemed to warn me, reminding me to be mindful of my own identity. I jolted awake. A faint sense of loss washed over me. I gripped Sophia Taylor's wrist tightly. Professor Zhou, please tell me your thoughts about your student. Be specific. Sophia Taylor's face flushed red. She tried to pull away, but couldn't because she was too weak. My student is really quite good. Her voice grew softer and softer. I looked at her adorable expression and laughed with happiness. She wasn't completely without feeling for me. The cafe at the school gate. Emily Davis looked at me with a complicated expression. I heard you're quite famous in the design world. Can I ask you for a favor? Ask. A very ordinary word, but Emily Davis had never said it to me before. If I'm not mistaken, she did it for Daniel Wilson. Sure enough, Emily Davis stammered. Daniel Wilson wants to hold an exhibition, but he has no connections. Your network is so powerful. Could you help him? I promise, he's a genius. I interrupted her without changing my expression. Sorry, whether he's a genius may be important to you, but it has nothing to do with me, and I don't want to know. Emily Davis took a deep breath and pulled down her collar. How is it nothing to do with you? If you hadn't snatched a chance to apprentice, he wouldn't still have achieved nothing by now and been taking his frustrations out on me all the time. I glanced up. There were several bruises near her collarbone. Was this person beaten and tortured by Daniel Wilson? But what does that have to do with me? She chose her own path. I gave a half smile. Not giving him the opportunity is considered stealing. Your logic is quite impressive. Oh, by the way, didn't you say geniuses won't be buried? Why hasn't Daniel Wilson succeeded yet? Emily Davis paused. Daniel Wilson said that art requires deep accumulation before a sudden release. Right now, he's primarily cultivating his inner self. Cultivating his inner self? Sounds very profound. I asked curiously, how did Daniel Wilson purify his soul? Can you tell me about it? Emily Davis's expression turned awkward. It's about experiencing the many facets of life, feeling meetings and partings every day. Never mind. Telling someone ordinary like you won't make you understand. Life's 100 different scenes. Meeting, parting? Do I have to experience it every day? I looked at Emily Davis in disbelief. Daniel Wilson wouldn't. He wouldn't be spending his days hanging around the red light district, would he? Emily Davis flinched as if pricked by a needle. Don't talk nonsense, okay? I've said it before. Daniel Wilson's artistic realm is something vulgar people like you cannot understand. I looked a little embarrassed. She took a concealing sip of coffee. Amazing. Daniel Wilson truly is a genius. At this level, I can only stand in awe. Emily Davis fell silent. She had probably realized that what I said was not praise, because I firmly refused to lend any help to Daniel Wilson. Emily Davis had no choice and could only leave resentfully. Before leaving, she turned back and glared at me with lingering dissatisfaction. Even without your connections, Daniel Wilson can still successfully hold an exhibition and make a sensational debut. I raised my cup high. May his work sell well. After leaving the cafe, Sophia Taylor pinched me. Are you also envious of that guy, being able to experience meetings and partings every day? I winced in pain, not envious at all. A few days later, news broke that Daniel Wilson was holding an art exhibition. It spread through the circle, but it wasn't a good reputation. Everyone treated it like a joke. The venue cost $100,000 to rent, and in the end it only sold for $200. He lost his pants. It was just those $200, and Oldie from West City felt sorry for the kid and bought it on the spot. Originally, the $40,000 rent was enough, but that idiot insisted on the top-tier security setup. He doesn't think. He'll want to steal that crappy drawing of his. Daniel Wilson's reputation was completely ruined. Emily Davis truly loved him. Even so, she still did not give up on him. Ethan Johnson, I'm begging you to help me. Daniel Wilson is going abroad to study oil painting and needs some money. Of everyone I know, you're the only one who could come up with it. She truly was wholehearted. She would do anything for Daniel Wilson. Even if I was the bootlicker she once looked down on, she could set aside her pride and beg me humbly. What is true love? This is it. My heart was completely unmoved. From the moment she leapt, her deep affection could no longer move me. It could only move herself. I'm still saying the same thing. You chose your own path. I have no obligation to help you. Emily Davis sobbed and cried. Daniel Wilson is just experiencing a creative block. If he goes abroad to study oil painting and absorbs inspiration from Western art, he will definitely be able to break through. Me? Yes. Emily Davis was left speechless and choked up. Before leaving, she said decisively, my judgment won't be wrong. Even if I have to give everything, I'll sponsor him to study abroad. He will seize the opportunity and soar to great heights. I smiled faintly. Her voice sounded like she was talking to herself. Emily Davis indeed did what she said. That day, Sophia Taylor came to visit our home. My parents chatted about the Shun family's gossip. They sold their house and got a large sum of money. supposedly to send some blonde kid abroad to study. Emily threatened the old couple with jumping off the building. They were forced and had no choice. That kid is eerie. She really looked like she would jump. The day after selling the house, Emily's mom was hospitalized, but she took all the money and ran off. The hospital bills were all borrowed by old Shun from relatives. Well done. This way of doing things is so Emily Davis. If it weren't for Sophia Taylor being there, I almost couldn't help applauding her love. Eye-open moments. Sure enough, Emily Davis was furiously posting pictures to show off. Most of the photos were of the two of them together. There was also a close-up of their fingers interlaced. Both of them were wearing strange rings. I zoomed in on the picture to take a closer look and found that both rings were woven from foxtail grass. Not bad. Actually, the craftsmanship was pretty good. The captions below are even more amusing. Even if the whole world is against you, you don't need to be afraid, because I will steadfastly stand by your side. I, with 1,000 words of longing, wish you a bright and boundless future. The mutual affection between husband and concubine is so carefree. I curled my lip. Everyone could see how despicable Daniel Wilson's character was. If nothing unexpected happens, something unexpected is about to happen. Sure enough, it only took a few days. Emily Davis hurriedly found me. Ethan Johnson, help me ask around in the European circles. I can't get in touch with Daniel Wilson. Did he abscond with the money? But what use is it for her to come to me? Don't say I didn't want to help her. Even if I did, I couldn't. I couldn't help the corners of my mouth from lifting. You've been scammed. If you want to recover your losses, hurry and call the police. Emily Davis covered her face and wept bitterly. He wouldn't. My brother Daniel Wilson would never lie to me. I let him beat and scold me, cared for him meticulously, and I'm carrying his child. He couldn't possibly do this to me. I looked at her with contempt, feeling not a shred of pity. Emily Davis, the love you have is truly pathetic. I'm ashamed that I ever liked you. After saying that, I turned and walked away, leaving her to wail by the roadside. After that, I became very busy. There were endless banquets and social engagements every day. Once again, after finishing a modeling job, I had just put my clothes back on. Sophia Taylor lightly stroked the scar between my brows. It's time to make a choice. Tangible financial gain or the intangible pursuit of art. Which will you choose? Her eyes were once again filled with memories. Her voice still had a slight tremor. My heart skipped a beat. My intuition told me that if I said a single wrong word, she would vanish from my world. I closed my eyes, following the voice within. Money and art are not the most important things to me. Having said that, I opened my eyes and stared intently at Sophia Taylor. Because, to me, you are more precious than money and art. Sophia Taylor, her icy breath receded, and her expression froze for a moment. The assignments I give must be completed on time. No slacking. Bang! The hotel room door was closed. Sophia Taylor fled in a panic. I stared blankly at the door. You didn't leave me any homework either. For the time that followed, I completely gave up all business socializing. On one hand, it was to improve myself. On the other hand, I had basically finished accumulating my principal. Of course, I hadn't given up on money. Because my net worth had recently surged, my confidence was sky high. I borrowed a large sum from Sophia Taylor to increase the principal. Our relationship became closer than before. I invested all the funds into the international crude oil futures market. I had the advantage of an information gap. I didn't need to put in much effort to acquire a large amount of money. My wealth grew day by day, and my art appreciation skills rose accordingly. Sophia Taylor often nagged, "If you squander all my dowry, I will never forgive you." I spread my hands. "No problem. If it really comes to paying, I'll pay you with myself." Sophia Taylor's face flushed red, shyly hiding herself behind the canvas. "Paint seriously. I'll be checking later." Whenever she felt embarrassed, she put on her teacherly airs. I found it amusing and laughed heartily. Just as everything was starting to turn out well, Emily Davis got into trouble. She found me with a pale face. "You were right. Daniel Wilson deceived me. He picked up gambling, lost all our money, and owes a huge amount to loan sharks. I went to find him and demanded to know why he betrayed our love. He mocked me for being lovesick. During the argument, he kicked me. The baby was lost. Boo-hoo-hoo. Daniel Wilson is not a genius at all. He's a coward, a worthless man." Ethan Johnson, I regret it. Can you give me a chance? I really want to be with you. You were so good to me before. I swear I truly regret it. Please help me. I saw the news that you spent over $20 million to buy a watch. I looked at Emily Davis coldly, with not the slightest interest in mocking her. She's had it bad enough. Let it be. At that moment, a cool, hoarse voice sounded. Sorry, my students are not allowed to have early romances. If you want to fall in love, please go find someone else. Sophia Taylor hooked her arm through mine and dragged me away. Behind us, Emily Davis was still shouting loudly. Ethan Johnson, I will not give up. The age gap between you two is too big. It won't end well. My arm ached. Sophia Taylor had a firm grip on it. Her voice came out through gritted teeth. What do you think about the age issue? I hurriedly put on a pitiful act and begged for mercy, though inside I felt a bit elated. Sophia Taylor still cares about me. Following her suggestion, I kept as far away from Emily Davis as possible. And so, the college entrance exams arrived peacefully. I exceeded expectations and scored an excellent 610. At a well-known science and engineering university, that score wouldn't be impressive. But for applying to the Huaxiao Academy of Fine Arts, it was more than enough. As for the art entrance exam, I had already passed it months ago. This class of students all did pretty well on the exams. Everyone congratulated and treated each other, bustling about happily. Farewell banquet for the teacher. Many classmates hugged each other and cried, with people constantly confessing love and breaking up nearby. But I felt hollow inside, completely unable to immerse myself. Because I was slightly drunk, I had someone book a room for me. Something unexpected happened. I suddenly felt very sleepy, and then footsteps paused outside the door. I jolted, and a thought flashed through my mind. I've been drugged. Emily Davis did it. Because I had bodyguards nearby, I wasn't worried about danger. Don't alarm her. I want to see what she intends to do. After instructing the bodyguards, I closed my eyes and pretended to be unconscious. Soon, the door was opened. Ethan Johnson, I told you I would get you. Under the dim light, Emily Davis took off her clothes and held me in an intimate embrace. She took several photos, then patted her butt and left. Bang! The door closed. I opened my eyes, snorted coldly, and picked up my phone. Save a video I just recorded. Emily Davis didn't know. For my safety, this room had at least 4 cameras installed by the bodyguards. Everything she did was faithfully recorded. I can pretty much guess what Emily Davis wants to do. No more than use the power of public opinion to force me to leave Sophia Taylor and accept her. No need to expose her now. Wait for her to make a big scene herself. Then I'll reveal the truth and solve the problem once and for all. 2 days later, photos of Emily Davis and me went viral. The keywords were eye-catching, jerk, abandoning a childhood sweetheart, teacher-student romance. As public opinion fermented, Sophia Taylor was quickly dragged into it. Netizens denounced him one after another. A teacher is the dominant party in relation to a student. The two are not equal. Is there emotional exploitation? He's already a professor. How can he still ignore issues of professional ethics? Reporting him, thanks. Putting other things aside, Professor Zhou is so outstanding. Not only has she achieved extraordinary things, her looks are practically heavenly. Isn't it only natural that students like her? Why is everyone condemning Professor Zhou? Is there no one concerned about the scumbag and the victim? It was obvious that public opinion was already out of control. I opened WeChat and stayed on the chat screen with Sophia Taylor. I trust you. From now on, don't leave the house and don't respond to any questions. Leave everything to me to handle. Taking this opportunity, I have something very important to tell you. Once you talked in your sleep and said I treated you as someone else's substitute. Who was that person exactly? I'll tell you the answer. I stared blankly at my phone. I felt a rising panic. I suddenly wanted to talk to her. Don't say anything more. I don't want to know the answer. I'm afraid the truth will be too cruel for me to bear. But I understand that no matter how I think, it won't make a difference. The course of events will not change because of my will. The waiting is long and agonizing. Until 3 days later, Sophia Taylor, as a special guest, appeared on a variety show. The host's tone sounded deliberately provocative. Hello, Professor Zhou. Recently, rumors about you have been spreading all over the internet. What are your views on teacher-student relationships? Sophia Taylor was poised and graceful in front of the camera. Her beauty was breathtaking, flawless from every angle. She calmly picked up the microphone. Before answering this question, I want to tell you a story. Many years ago, there was a 10-year-old girl whose most beloved mother passed away. Her father remarried, and she felt as if the whole world had abandoned her. That summer, my father took my stepmother and her with him to visit an old friend. Sophia, Taylor recounted gently. On that arched bridge, she suddenly missed her mother terribly and wanted to leap off the bridge. The host grew anxious, and then Sophia Taylor's mouth tilted up, her eyes showing reminiscence. Later, she was entangled by a 4-year-old boy. Inside the hotel suite, I stared blankly at the video footage. It felt as if a bolt of lightning had cut through my mind, illuminating a corner of dusty memories. When I was 4, I met a pretty older girl on that arched bridge. Children have no shame. I chased after her, asking, "Sister, what are you doing? This is very dangerous. Do you know that? Sister, you're so beautiful. Will you be my wife?" The pretty sister was very angry. "Don't bother me, okay? I won't marry a snot-nosed worm." I argued loudly with her. "I'll be a great painter in the future, not some snot-nosed worm." The pretty sister climbed onto the railing. I grabbed her angrily. "Insulting people is wrong. Come down here and apologize to me." I'm especially stubborn. Once I set my mind on something, I have to see it through. I grabbed her thigh hard. As a result, by accident, I hit a sharp stone right between my eyebrows. It hurt so much I bawled my eyes out. The pretty lady saw me bleeding, quickly climbed down from the railing, and took out a handkerchief to stop the bleeding. I was soon consoled and stopped crying. "Sister, will I be able to see you again?" The beautiful sister was very smug. "As long as you become a great painter, you'll definitely know me." I touched the tiny scar between my brows. Thoughts churned inside me. "So it turns out you were that pretty sister. That day, when you tried to kill yourself, my inadvertent nagging actually saved your life." The show was still going on, and the host asked another question. "Do you mean because that child saved your life, you must give yourself to him?" Sophia Taylor smiled slightly. "Of course not. The story isn't over yet." Because the stepmother treated the little girl very well, she soon accepted her, but there was always a knot in her heart that wouldn't come undone. Her mother had cancer, living each day on painkillers. The mother said, while her mind was still clear, to have the father paint a picture for her. As her condition worsened, small doses of painkillers no longer worked, and injections also caused clouded consciousness, affecting father's painting. Sophia Taylor tightened her grip on the microphone, her knuckles whitening from force. Her voice began to tremble. So mother refused to take the pain injections. Even while enduring the excruciating pain of late-stage cancer, she insisted on being father's model. The host had already begun to wipe away tears. Sophia Taylor continued. The little girl could understand her mother, but she could not forgive her father. Why did he have to finish that painting? If he had given up halfway, her mother might have left with less pain. But her father did not give up. Sophia Taylor also wiped her tears. Until one day, my father showed that boy the painting called Deceased Wife and told the story behind it, including the little girl's emotional knot. That boy said that my mother endured pain to leave behind a painting all because of her love for my father. My father watched his beloved suffer, yet insisted on painting. His inner pain was probably even greater than my mother's. At that moment, I understood. My father was cruel to my mother and twice as cruel to himself. All of it was because they loved each other. It was their choice, and as their daughter, I could only respect it. That boy, he redeemed me twice. The host was full of admiration. The audience stood as one, applauding for a deeply moving love story. Everyone sat back down. The host continued. Let's return to the original question. What do you think about teacher-student relationships? Sophia Taylor smiled brightly. I have 2 things to say. The host played the stooge. May I ask which 2 sentences? Sophia Taylor. Ethan Johnson, you're expelled. From now on, you are no longer my student. Host. Okay, that's the first sentence. Sophia Taylor. Ethan Johnson, I'm proposing to you, and you are not allowed to refuse because I've already given you my dowry in advance. The whole audience laughed. Host. Sneaky, so sneaky. Host. What do you think about the intimate photos circulating online? Sophia Taylor. Ethan Johnson won't touch her because he has better options. I think I can confidently say that. Her negative image was reversed, and I also released the video I had. For a moment, public opinion was completely one-sided. Emily Davis is way too shady, right? She actually did something so disgusting. I can't believe I defended her. Her background has already been dug up. Good grief, love-obsessed, miscarriage, hunting for a sugar daddy. She's just a rotten person. How dare she step forward and pretend she's the victim? Emily Davis was cyber-bullied into depression. I officially started dating Sophia Taylor. Every day, she made me take off my clothes and model for her, but she never finished a single piece. She said, "If the work isn't finished, you're not allowed to leave me." And so, our happiness continued like that. Well, she cheated. The next time I heard news of Emily Davis was in my senior year. Daniel Wilson had attached himself to a rich woman. On the day before his wedding, Emily Davis found him. She clung tightly to Daniel Wilson and leapt from the rooftop. Their flesh and blood completely mingled, no longer distinguishable from one another. At the moment I learned of their deaths, I completely cast off the tragic past and began to enjoy a comfortable life. Of course, there was also Professor Joe's instruction. The red wine left her slightly tipsy. Sophia Taylor booked a presidential suite. She opened another bottle of foreign liquor and gulped down a large mouthful. He slurred to me, "Little snot-nose, today will be a milestone in your modeling career. Strip completely." Me, Sophia Taylor, emboldened, looked so cute. After graduating from university, Sophia Taylor and I held a grand wedding. Soon after, our daughter was born. When our daughter was 5, I enrolled her in a dance class. She sprained her foot on her first lesson. "Dad, dancing is no fun at all, and you can get hurt. I don't want to learn anymore." I excused her from class. After she recovered, I coaxed her to continue taking dance lessons. When she started middle school, my daughter participated in a nationwide dance competition and won first prize. At the awards ceremony, the host asked her, "Little Song Hwan, do you have anything you'd like to say to everyone?" My daughter bowed toward the audience. "Thanks to my father, who encourages me every time I face setbacks and gives me courage. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the chance to stand here." Host, "May I ask if your father is here with us today?" Daughter, "He's in the audience downstairs." Host, "Then let's invite your father up to say a few words, shall we?" My daughter obediently nodded. The spotlights converged on me. The entire audience's gaze turned to me. I climbed the stage and stood calmly and unhurriedly. The host asked me, "Mr. Ethan Johnson, hello. Why did you urge Hwan to keep going when she was hurt?" I turned my gaze to the audience. Because true wisdom is not avoiding something after setbacks, but having the courage to walk that path again despite having been hurt. Looking at the audience, Sophia Taylor smiled and waved at me. "Thank you for giving me the courage when I was disillusioned with love, and for making me fortunate enough to fall in love with you." I told myself in my heart,